back to Open Line for a segment called Beyond the News. My guest tonight, as you can see, Vicki Yates, answering the tough questions tonight, your questions, after being here 28 years.
It'll be 29 in March.
That really is something to celebrate.
It is. It really is, and I've seen so many things happen over the years. You know, you see so many stories, and you see, more importantly, more people that you've come to see as family, and you see them move on, or some of them pass away, and then you see the new people coming in. So it's like it just keeps turning. It just keeps turning.
Life keeps happening.
It does.
It really does.
Yeah.
I want to talk about your personal life a little bit, but let me remind folks, Jim, we were going to go to you, but you hung up. So call in right now. The lines are all open. So 615-737 plus is the number to call. We got through a bunch of calls in the first segment. Let's do it again. I want to talk about your personal life. You have three wonderful kids.
I do.
You were a single mom, and every person at this station has always said, Vicki raised the best kids.
Oh, thank you.
And this is look at them.
Oh, there
and
they
you have
are.
beautiful children. I mean, that's a no-brainer, but and I know you're just so proud of them.
I really am.
So tell us about them.
My kids are just like the best, and I know that I'm not biased, of course, but they really are. When I moved here, as I was saying, my sons were a year old. My daughter was 3, and so it was, I remember at one point they were all I think she had just gotten out of diapers, but I had 2 of them in diapers, and I'm trying to work, and I didn't know anybody when I moved here. I really didn't know anybody other than the people at the station, and a lot of them just kind of reached out to me and helped me, and that was wonderful. My kids, though, have just decided that they're Southerners, even though I'm from Detroit. And to be honest with you, when we first moved here, I was concerned that they would have a real strong Southern accent because I'm from Detroit, and I'm like, we can't go home if you've got a real strong Southern accent. How am I going to get back home? And so I remember one day, my daughter said, Mama, there's something in my eye. I said, in your eye? What are you talking about? I knew what she was saying because she was doing this. I said, what are you talking about? Something in my eye. I said, your eye? She's like, just get it out.
Just get it out. I don't need this grammar lesson right now.
But they are proudly Southern children, and they love Nashville, and they rep Nashville, as they say, all the time.
And they're so successful.
They are. My daughter works for another station in town, which will not be named, but she's the community affairs director at one of the stations there and a host. My one son is a chemist at Foster Farms Foods, I always get that wrong, Foster Farms Foods in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And my other son is a banker in Texas, in Denton, Texas.
And he's getting married soon.
And he's getting married soon. This is a first
in the Yates family for the kiddos.
I'm telling you, and I just already told everybody, expect many tears. There will be many tears.
Well, of course there will be. He's your baby.
He's the baby of the family. Even though he's a twin, he was the baby. So. And I knew he'd be the first to get married. He's been very serious. He's always been like, okay, Mom, let's do this. Unlike my other kids who are kind of like, flighty. But they're all wonderful children, and I feel blessed. I really do. I feel blessed.
Well, I want to ask you some advice, because more and more women are raising kids on their own these days. I mean, really, the numbers are pretty staggering when you look at them. You have done it so successfusly, and my goodness, in this business where schedules are crazy, can be unpredictable. What's your advice to single moms?
My advice is, and I know this is that old saying, but it's true, it takes a village. If you have some friends or if you have family who can help you out, please ask them to help you out. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I had good babysitters. I never had nannies or anything like that because I'm the mom. And that's another piece of advice I like to give mothers. Don't be your children's friend. They'll have friends. They'll have friends from now on, but you can only get one mother, and you have to be the mom. You have to say, look, you're not doing that. It's not happening. But all the other kids, is that, are you going to jump off of a roof and all the other kids jump off the roof? I think my mother used to say that one to me. But you have to be the mom. You have to be a parent. And we used to do fun things every Friday. Back in the day, this is probably before you remember, there was, on ABC, it was TGIF. I think it was Full House and Family Matters. Family Matters.
Say the Seavers were on.
And what we would do was, right after I got off of work, I say, okay, I'm coming home. I would stop at McDonald's and get kid meals. And when I got home, I'd say, okay, pull out the blanket. They'd have their pajamas on, and we'd have a pajama picnic. and they'd sit there and just watch, you know, these fun shows. And then when it was over, they went to bed, and they were happy because Mom was home, and we're all sitting around watching TV together. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was something they could look forward to every week.
Right, exactly.
Simple. It's not like you're going out and spending $100 bucks.
No,
it's just family
a Happy
time.
Meal.
Yeah.
That was the cost of a couple of three Happy Meals.
Have you ever considered doing anything else career-wise other than this job?
I'd like to write full time. You know, at some point I would like to do that. But before that, I was pretty happy once I got into this because I kind of enjoyed it, and things kind of straightened up, and I was going on a certain path. So I was happy with that.
You really have seen this business change.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
You entered it when it was really male dominated.
Oh, very much so.
You told me one time that a news director suggested that you cried during a story, right?
General manager suggested that I cry. Yes, what happened was, as you all know, we do the Children's Hospital telethon for Vanderbilt, and have since I've been here. I think it's even longer than I've been here. 30, was it 32 years?
I think so.
They said?
Yeah, I think the luncheon
32 years.
Said, yeah.
And the general manager at the time, it was my first telethon, and I was excited, and I was all dressed up because we wore gowns.
Yes, it was very fancy
back in the day. Yeah. Exactly. And so they said, okay, we're going to go to you, and we're going to talk about whatever. And I said, okay. So I'm doing this, and I'm thinking I'm doing a good job. And then when it was over, during the break, the general manager came over to me and said, I'm going to need you to cry. I said, excuse me? Yeah. I said, I didn't understand. I said, if you want to get more dollars, you have to cry. You need to cry. And I'm like, I can't cry like you. I'm not an actress. So I'm like, what am I going to cry about? So I go over to the side of the studio, and I'm like, okay, what can I cry about?
So did you cry?
I did. I sure did. That next commercial came up, and here I was.
But you still remember it, though. I mean, clearly it was one of those moments you went, this is just weird.
I'm like, really? You want me to cry? But he did, and I sure enough cried.
Yeah. One thing that I've noticed just in my career, and I wonder if you see the same thing, is that when I started, it was still very much you show no emotion.
Right.
You know, you're playing it straight down the line.
Exactly.
And everyone did, even the cable networks at the time, it seemed like they did. Now the cable networks are their own beast.
True.
But even, I think, and it started with maybe the hurricane in New Orleans, Katrina, you started to see reporters show some emotion.
Right.
Because they were there in the thick of it. And I will even catch myself on some stories. I can't help it.
You can't.
It's emotional.
There are some stories that just touch you. I mean, you're a human being. You're not you're a robot. We're not just sitting here and reading blindly and not listening to what we're talking about. And I think when that happens and you go through a story, and for me, the soft spot are children and the elderly.
Yes.
When you hear about them being abused, oh man, it's just,
it's very tough sometimes just to get through a story. But don't you remember when that was unheard of?
Oh,
like you would never cross that line.
You barely cracked a smile. And if it did, it was sort of like,
right.
You know.
Let's get to weather now.
Right, let's go to weather.
What are some other changes that you have noticed in this career or the decades that you've been doing it? Anything stick out in your mind?
I think technology, obviously.
Huge.
Because when I first started, we were actually on film. That's how old I am.
Wow.
We were using film, and I remember actually cutting and editing pieces of film together. But now, I mean, you can record from your phone.
Right.
I mean, literally, you can record from your phone. And so that's so much different now. But I think it's great because it makes things more immediate.
Yes.
When you were doing film or VHS or whatever, you had to stop and take time. You couldn't just, this is going on, this is breaking news, and then you had to wait a minute because you had to get it together. So I think that's one of the bigger things. Technology has just taken over. But I like that. I'm fine with it. I don't understand a lot of it.
Like, however you got to do that, okay. Right. I'll be here. You tell me when we're on.
You show me what I'm supposed to do.
You are known for, you and Charlie, one of our photographers, do School Patrol, and you have done it a long time.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Originally, the station was giving away computers when computers first kind of came out, and they were portable, and they were giving them away for the Golden Apple Award for teachers.
Okay.
And that's kind of how it started. They said, okay, every week we're going to go out and focus on a teacher and give her a Golden Apple pin, and then at the end, whoever the best teacher was, who it was decided was be the best teacher, got the actual computer. And so that's how we started. We started going to different schools and interviewing different teachers, and then it kind of branched branched off into, well, we don't want to just do teachers. What else is going on in schools? How else can we tell people what's going on in the world of education? So we branched out and did other things that were connected to schools or connected to students. But that's basically how it started.
And you've basically been to every school in our viewing area probably a couple of times, right?
Several times, several times.
Do you like doing the education beat, though?
I do, because you get to meet so many kids, and
they're always excited to see you.
They're always excited to see you, and it's funny, but the little kids are especially excited to see you. When they get to be high school students, they're like, okay.
I'm too cool for this.
Right, they're too cool, yeah. I don't care if you're from Channel 5. But when they're little, they're like, oh my gosh, and then they come up and hug you, and I love that. So I've really enjoyed doing School Patrol. It's been a plus.
The stories are really amazing. We're going to hop back to the lines now. Joseph is on the line. Hi, Joseph.
Hi, Joseph.
Go ahead with your question or your comment.
I want to know how long has Vicki started at Channel 5, and who did she start with as a co-anchor?
Great question.
That's a good question. I started 28 years ago, March of 1990, and my co-anchor was Chris Clark at the time. Who is a Nashville icon. He's an icon, not necessarily in Nashville. He's an icon everywhere because everybody knows him, not just because he's been such a great journalist, but because he found and discovered Oprah Winfrey.
Yes. Good call there.
Yeah, definitely good call. But it was Chris Clark, and Ron Howes was doing weather at the time, and Hope Hines was doing sports. So that's who I started with.
And you guys were a team for a long time.
We were for a really long time.
Yeah.
And so, and it's hard, you know, when one leaves, because then you feel like, what?
Yeah.
The team's breaking up.
It is. It does, because you spend so much time with your work family, sometimes more than your own family at home.
You really do. And you know their families.
Yes.
You know, so it's like an extended family. So I've just really enjoyed working with them, and they're still family. Actually, about 2 months ago, Ron and Chris and I got together for lunch, and I posted the picture on Facebook, and I got so many people who said, oh my gosh, I remember when you guys were together, and I remember how much fun it was. And so it's fun to be a part of that.
And people are sometimes shocked. They're like, oh, you guys really like each other.
Right.
Like, well, of course we do.
You really get along outside of work? You're like, yeah, we do. Nobody's forcing us to do this.
No, not at all. Joseph, thank you for your call. Again, it is Open Line. The number is on the screen. 615-737+ is the number to call. We're calling this Beyond the News. It's your chance to ask questions of Vicki and the other folks that we're going to have on once a month is what we're going to try for. Just to ask more about your passions and what led you down this journey, and your chance to get personal. So we welcome your questions. Be part of the conversation. I certainly have my own questions here. I get to work with Vicki every day.
I have a question to ask you too.
Oh, okay.
What's it been like? You're from
I'm from Louisville
originally.
Yes, but I came from Michigan.
From Michigan.
Was my last stop.
So how has the transition been for you? How different has it been?
You know, I think Nashville is a lot like Louisville, and I grew up there, but I also spent my first 12 years of my career there.
Okay.
So Nashville's like, city-wise, they're the same, just Nashville's bigger. So that's been very similar. Coming from Michigan, I was in a much smaller town.
Right.
And it's so cold there all the time. It is so
I remember
cold.
that.
The people are good, and they are hearty people. I like Michigan people. I just cannot be one of them, you know? So I was so happy to get back to the South.
Were you really?
Yeah, and you and Rory just really made it an easy transition.
Oh, thanks.
When I interviewed here, they kept saying, there are no divas here. There are no divas here. And I thought, there's always a diva. I had that moment. I was like, there's going to be a diva. Just, why are you even telling me this? There's not. I was so surprised. Right. That's what I was expecting. Like, somebody's going to be the diva. There's not. They sent me flowers on my first day.
Yep.
And it's so good. I still have the card pinned at my desk, and yeah, it's just been easy.
No divas here.
No,
it doesn't work.
Really no, it doesn't.
We did have one. I won't mention his name. Many years ago, and people who work here know what I'm talking about. But he didn't last because he was a diva. He thought he was different than the rest of us. He wasn't willing to be part of the team. It was more like an I in team. And like they say, there's no I in team.
There's not here. Let's go to Janet on the line. Hi, Janet. Janet, are you with me?
Hello. Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, good. Hi. Go ahead with your question or comment.
I would like to comment that I've watched Channel 5 and I watch all the various stations, and that I am very impressed with Channel 5 because there doesn't seem to be any personality problems with the people that actually present the news, the weather, or whatever. They seem to get along really well together, and when I'm watching the news, I can tell that if there is some kind of friction between the individuals that's presenting the news. I just wanted you all to know that.
Well, thank you.
That is something we pay attention to.
We sure appreciate that. Thank you so much.
We do appreciate it, and I think it is true. I mean, you can tell when people are just putting on.
You can,
Yeah.
like, or you know, they're like when they get off air, they're like, oh,
Yeah, see you later.
don't talk to me.
Exactly. It doesn't happen
None
here.
of that.
Okay, we have to take another quick break. If you want to get your question lined up through the break, go ahead and give us a call. Taylor's in the back. He's one of our producers. He's going to get you on the phone. 615-737+. We're coming right back with more Vicki Yates.